Oghuz Yabgu State. The Oghuz Yabgu State, Oghuz meaning Oghuz Land, Oghuz Country, 750–1055, was a Turkic state, founded by Oghuz Turks in 766, located geographically in an area between the coasts of the Caspian and Aral Seas. Oghuz tribes occupied a vast territory in Kazakhstan along the Irgiz, Yaik, Emba, and Ural rivers, the Aral Sea area, the Syr Darya Valley, the foothills of the Karatau Mountains in Tien-Shan, and the Chui River Valley Sea map. The Oghuz political association developed in the 9th and 10th centuries in the basin of the middle and lower course of the Syr Darya and adjoining the modern western Kazakhstan steppes. Etymology. The etymology of the name Oghuz is unclear. It was discussed many times in historical and philological literature. The term probably means tribes, or the tribal union, and then could turn into a collective ethnic name. The original Oghuz areas were the southeastern regions of Central Asia. The beginning of the early Oghuz group formation is linked to the Western Gettysue, often known in Russian and other European languages as Semirchai. History. Early history. The first reference of the Oghuz state is by the Arab geographer Yaqubi, who mentioned the Oghuzes' wars against the Takus Oghuz Kymics and Karluks. Another geographer, Ibn al-Faqih, reported that the Oghuzes along with the Kymics and Tagus Oghuzes were the king's Malik, and were revered among the Turks. In Gettysue the old Oghuz capital was Guzia. The Chinese sources, dated to the 7th and 8th centuries, located the Gusu, a Western Turkic tribe not belonging to the Ten Arrows Union, consistently in the vicinity of Issyk-Kul Talaz. Yuri's Wave 1960 links these Gusu to the Oghuz Turks. The center of the Oghuz Confederation shifted from the Issyk-Kul area to the lower course of the Syr Darya under pressure of the refugees of the Seri-Turkish tribe. Swave also notes two parallel passages, one from Venus' secret classic Tabo Yinjing Tai by Yinjing, which mentioned the Sank 3 Kimsi * kit, and the other from Al-Masudi's Meadows of Gold and Mines of Gems, which mentioned the three hordes of the Turkic Guz. Despite the similarity in name, Golden contends that the Takus Oghuz Chinese Jews because Istakri and Mohammed ibn Muhammad al-Tusi kept the Takus Oghuz and Oghuz distinct, and Ibn al-Faqih mentioned the infidel Turk Oghuz, the Takus Oghuz, and the Karluk. Even so, Golden notes the confusion in latter Gokturks and Ikers, where Oghuz apparently referred to Takus Oghuz or another tribal grouping, who were also named Oghuz. At most, the Oghuz were possibly led by a core group of Takus Oghuz clans or tribes. In 766, after Karluk's over in the Turkish Khaganate in Gettysue, southeastern modern Kazakhstan, Karluk tribes formed a khanate centered there under the rule of a Yabgu, and they occupied and transferred their capital to Sayab. By that time, the bulk of the Karluk III Karluks confederation had left the Altai, and the supremacy in Gettysue passed to the Karluk tribes. After the Oghuz Confederation lost a struggle with the Karluks for leadership in the Turkish Khaganate, a significant part of Gettysue, Oghuzes migrated to the Karatau Mountains foothills and the valley of the Chui River in the Issyk-Kul basin. At the beginning of the 9th century, the Oghuz Confederation, in alliance with Karluks and Kimaks, destroyed the Kangar Union and captured the lower course of the Syr Darya River and the Aral steppes, displacing the Kangars and Pechenegs. The nomadic tribes of the Syr Darya Kangars were forced to join the Oghuzes, and a part of them migrated to the west to the northern Black Sea region. The Oghuzes moved their capital to Yaik and became known as Oghuz Yabgu State. The state was founded in Inikent, which was an Oghuz Yala summer village. Oghuz extended from Issyk-Kul and Almalik in the south to Saram in the west to the city of Yaik, which stands at the mouth of the river Syr Darya, and to the Karakum Desert. The capital of the Oghuz was variously spelled Enikent, Yanikent, Janikand, Yanikent, Yanikand, all meaning new city, and also in Arabic literature Al-Qarya al-Hadisa, and in Persian literature Day-i-Hay. Presently, it is a Central Asian ghost town Jankent. The state was ruled by the leader of the Oghuz Turks with the title Yabgu, which is similar to other Turkic ruling titles such as Khan and Kagan/Hakan, but initially with a status below Kagan. The army was commanded by Sabasi, Su meaning army possibly from late Old Chinese, Shu Suo frontier guard and Basi head ruler. Political history. The Oghuz state played an important role in the military and political history of Eurasia. In 965 the Oghuz state allied with Kievan Rus in a war against the Khazar Khaganate. In 985 the alliance with Kievan Rus defeated Volga Bulgaria, which increased the political power of the Oghuz state. At the turn of the 10th–11th centuries popular uprisings broke out against excessive taxation in the state. The revolts became especially strong in the second half of the 10th century, during the rule of Ali Yabgu. The split between the ruling Oghuzes and Seljuk branch of Oghuzes turned out to be detrimental to the state. The upheaval was used by the Seljuk branch, who led an uprising and took Gend, but soon they were forced to leave the Gend area. During the reign of the last Oghuz Yabgu Shamalik the state rebounded. In 1041, Shamalik Yabgu conquered Khorzum from the Ghaznavids, but 2 years later he was captured by the Seljuk forces and executed. Shamalik Yabgu was the last ruler of the Oghuz state. Internal turmoil and conflict with the Seljuks weakened the Oghuz state. The weakened state fell under attacks by the Kipchak tribes from the Kimek Khaganate. Under the pressure of the Kipchaks, the two branches of the Oghuz people split. A significant part of the Oghuzes went to Eastern Europe, and the Seljuk Oghuzes left toward Asia Minor. Another part of the Oghuzes fell under the rule of the Karahanids and Seljuk rulers of Khorasan. The remnants of those Oghuz defeated by the Kipchaks subsequently dissolved among the Turkic-speaking tribes of Dasht-e-Kipchak. The Oghuz tribes contributed to the formation of many of today's Turkic peoples. In the 11th century, Oghuz migration to Persia and the Near East began. The movement was led by the head of the Kinnic tribe Tugril and Chagri Beg, the grandchildren of Seljuk. This migrating group became, in time, the Seljuk Empire. In 1025, a part of the Seljuks settled in the territory of the modern Turkmenistan, centered on the city of Nisa. In 1034–1035, they were joined by Togrul Bek's subjects. In 1038–1040, the Seljuks fought against Ghaznavids and captured Nishapur. Subsequently, they were able to create a huge state, which consisted of Asia Minor, Persia, and parts of the Caucasus and Central Asia. The Oghuz state existed for 3 centuries. Another Turkic group, Kipchaks and Kimeks of the Kimek Khaganate, ended the state by the 12th century. By that time, Seljuk Bey and his Kinnic tribe headed to Persia to found their own Muslim state, which in the future would become the Great Seljuk Empire, and a part of the state population moved eastward to the Pontic areas. Oghuz Yabgu State on the Syr Darya. The above is mostly an account of the Oghuz as a whole. State is misleading for a group loosely organized tribes. Regel has the following for one group. When the Oghuz drove the Pechenegs out of the Syr Darya Delta, a leader from the Barani clan took the title of Yabgu. How far his power extended is not clear. His capital or winter camp was at Yangigan = New Town, where the Syr Darya made its last split. Around 985 one of his commanders named Seljuk split off and moved to Gend south of the upper delta and converted to Islam. His followers became the Seljuks. The Yabgu converted a little later. In 1034–35 Yabgu Shamalik Barani defeated the Seljuks and Turkomans of Khwarezm, which caused many Turkomans to move south to Khorasan and the Kopit Dagh. In 1041 Shamalik conquered Khwarezm. The Seljuks drove him out in 1043. He fled and was later killed, his state perhaps disappearing. Political system. Stem. The economic base of society was private ownership of livestock. Little is known about the old farming communities in the oases, river valleys, and wetlands. The cities continued to be populated by traders and artisans. The title of the elected ruler was Yabgu. The power was hereditary within a ruling clan. The heir to the throne was called an owl. They were brought up by an atabic tutor. Elections of Yabgu were conducted at the tribal assemblies. The rulers were chosen by the Codex of Unwritten Rules of Customary Law Tor from the most powerful clans. The power of the supreme ruler was limited by the council of largest military tribal aristocracy. The wives of the rulers bore a title Khatan and played a significant role in the court life. Yabgu was assisted by regional rules titled Kul Irkins. An important place was occupied by warlords. A head of the army was called Subeshi, from Su army and Bash head. The Subeshi was supported by a military council and actively interfered in political events. The Oghuz states was subdivided into Yuruks and Amaks. The term Yuruk designated tribal divisions. Amak was an administrative district. The clans and tribes united into larger tribal alliances were known as Oghuz Country. By the end of the 10th century formed a formal administrative apparatus and a system of regular taxes. The main religion was the traditional Tengrism, and later Islam. Ethnic composition. The power base of the Oghuz state were semi-nomadic and nomadic tribes of Getasew and Siberia Ugra, Charuk, Khalaj, Kamik, Karluk, Emir, Bayandur, Kai, and the remaining tribes in sedentary population of the Kangar Union that submitted to the Oghuz Yabgu. The Oghuz state was heterogeneous in ethnic terms. In urban and rural areas lived Turkic and Khwarezmian-speaking population. The reformation of the Oghuz ethnic community was a complex and lengthy process. According to the Mahmud Kashgari 11th century testimony, Oghuz Confederation originally consisted of 24 tribes, though 2 college tribes left the union early. Later sources like Rashid al-Din, Abu al-Ghazi Bahadur, and Selkuk name omitted Charklug from Kashgari's list, added Kizik. Yabgus, approximately from 600 to 1042. Capital, Yaik. Inal Yabi c. 600. Thili Kai son. Iki Erkin son. Tumen son. Kanli Yavi son. Mur Yavi son. Karakan son. Bogra Khan son. Kozaitkin son. Arslan son. Osman son. Isli son. Shaban son. Burin son. Ali Khan, son c. 980–998. Shah Malik 998–1042. Conquest of Khwarezm in 1042.